Welcome to the first episode of Beards and Bitcoins, your new favorite podcast where we talk about all things crypto. So I am your co-host, BitBoy. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, BitBoy Crypto, or my website, bitboycrypto.com, or you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at bitboy_hodl.
Excellent. I am also your co-host. You will find me on Twitter as JChains, at COL, and then custard, like the pie filling, short for Colonel Custard. That is me, JChains. Welcome to everyone that's listening.
All right, so we got together at the Voices of Blockchain conference. We got to meet each other in person. It was definitely awesome meeting you, and we had a lot of good conversations. And, you know, podcasting is something that we definitely were both interested in. And so we decided, hey, you know what? Let's just do it. So we decided that we wanted to have a podcast that is all about community. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. I know that JChains is also passionate about. And not a lot of people in the space really, I feel like, talk about it enough. And one thing that I discovered while we were at the Voices of Blockchain, I'm sure that JChains, you saw the same thing, is that there seems to be almost like a wall around different communities, whether it's different cryptocurrency projects. We know, we can think of some of the communities such as the Bitcoin Cash community, the Ripple community, even EOS has kind of its disciples there. They kind of wall themselves off from other people. But then even within that, there's like a social media wall that exists around different communities, such as YouTube. A lot of the big YouTubers in cryptocurrency are not active on social media other than to just, let's say, post their content and things like that. And of course, we have people that are on Twitter, people that are on Reddit. And one thing we want to do with this podcast is really break down those walls to where we can really be just a total crypto community. And I think that's something that's really important. What do you think, JChains?
Absolutely, man. Kind of what you're talking about is, for when I look at it, it's almost like the high school, lunch tables, right? You got your different tables. Everybody sits somewhere different. Everybody's, talking about the things that they're into. But let's all get together as a community, kind of like you were saying. And first of all, let's advance this whole thing as crypto into the mainstream, because that's the common goal. That's what we're all here for, I think. So moving it all together would be a little bit better than, everybody picking their own sides or their own table or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And you really hit the nail on the head when you said it's all about getting this to the mainstream. It's about the adoption. It's about pushing crypto forward as a movement. And as long as we're all separated into these different lunch tables, then we're not going to really be able to move forward. And I think we're seeing that reflected in the markets. I mean, I think a lot of the community-related material we'll talk about have a direct impact. If you go back to, let's say, January and December, when all of the YouTubers were shilling coins, and I don't mean all of the YouTubers. Of course, we know there were some good, genuine, YouTubers out there, but the ones that people would say are shillers were just out there to push projects, if you will. They were active on their YouTube channels, but then, let's say on their social media, they weren't available for people to engage with them. And so people were making really stupid decisions based on just seeing someone make a YouTube video about some ICO. And I think right now, we've obviously been burnt, big time from over the last year, the bear market, from a lot of those people that were shilling. So I do think that, moving forward as a community and all doing this together is just going to lead to good things for crypto.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's advance society as a whole, too. I mean, all the projects, or not all of the projects, but a lot of the projects that are, getting into the space, it's like the next evolution of how we do business, or how, the world works, I was just getting involved in talking with some of the guys over at Holochain. To me, Holochain is I don't know if you ever saw the commercial where the guy was getting his 3D TV delivered, and on the side it said, come and sue 4K or whatever. It's there's always the next thing ahead, and it's let's all just come together and figure out how we can advance this project as a whole, as a community, and make the world a better place, something that we can all, be proud of, that, we all took part in.
Yeah, and I think, the crypto community is a very progressive community. And I don't mean that in terms of, specifically politics. The funny thing is you talk to most people I've met in crypto are actually libertarian, and they've managed to stay outside of, whatever the current political debate, left versus right, conservative versus liberal, whatever that may be. But they managed to, come in from like a libertarian perspective. But outside of politics, it just feels like crypto is very accepting. It's very progressive. It's very accepting to newcomers. I've talked to several people in the crypto community that I know who said, you know what, I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere else. And I made an account on Twitter.
Absolutely.
I made an account on Twitter, started talking to people, and everybody was so kind and so nice and so accepting and things like that. So I do think that crypto is kind of like a microcosm of where our society is, or where our society should be, heading, where everyone can get along and we can accept everybody for where they're at, and we don't have to, even though like we talked about, those walls kind of do exist between the different communities, it's important for each of us to take our own responsibility and be kind to each other, and that's kind of what this podcast is all about, is, like I said earlier, is bringing down those walls so we can all find better ways to work with each other.
Be kind and rewind, man.
Is that a Blockbuster reference?
Yeah. I actually I read an article that there is one Blockbuster left in the entire country in Alaska.
Well,
side note.
It's funny you said that, because I actually just watched a video on the very last Blockbuster in the United States, and it was not in Alaska, but I feel like I had seen that before. So I don't know. Maybe this is an older one, or I don't know. This one is in Bend, Oregon. Okay. Yeah, and I watched a whole YouTube video about it, and it's an independent Blockbuster because the corporate doesn't exist. So the manager has to go and actually buy all the movies at Walmart every Tuesday morning and put them out. But let me tell you,
that's funny.
Let me tell you, Blockbuster to me is one of the greatest examples of what happens when society doesn't advance, or not society, but when a business does not advance, according to what the society wants. They had a chance to buy Netflix. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
They had a chance to buy Netflix pretty early on, and they passed on it, and now they're absolutely obsolete, which is really crazy. So I always say this. This is my little line I say all the time. What was the safest job in America in 1995?
Oh, it had to have been a Blockbuster video guy.
The rewind guy. Blockbuster manager. If you were a Blockbuster manager, you felt like there was nothing that could ever take your job. You just know, when a Blockbuster came to your town and you were an independent video store owner, you knew you were getting crushed,
That's it, game over.
That was it, game over. So you could rent games there too. That was really fun. Always go and pick you always had this idea, like you go pick out this perfect video game to play, and you go there and just stare at the aisle for I would just go and stare for 30 minutes, and then finally just be like, I guess I'll just pick this game up.
That, was very similar to what happened to me. I would go to Best Buy to pick out a CD growing up, and I'd have a whole list in my head of, what I was going to get, and what I wanted to check out. And the moment I walked in, it was like, oh, music heaven, and I would forget everything that I was looking there for, and I would just spend a couple hours and figure it out. But man, just the brain would just go into a state of shock. I was so excited about all that music.
Oh, yeah, I know the days when that was a thing. You go into the store. Can you believe they still have stuff like that at Best Buy? They still have DVDs and CDs, I think. I don't know. I know they got DVDs there, but who's got time for that? Who goes and actually purchases a DVD in the store?
Not me.
Not me. I don't. If we watch something at my household, we're doing it pay-per-view for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anyhow, so question for you, BitBoy. What got you into crypto, or where did you get your start, or what interested you say, all right, I'm going to shift over in what I'm doing in my life, and I want to focus on crypto?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a two-part story, really. The first part is how I got into Bitcoin, which, is a little bit different than how I got into crypto in general and altcoins. So it's funny, I actually just did a video yesterday on my YouTube channel where I actually talked about Charlie Shrem is going to be going to World CryptoCon, which is a conference I'm going to in Las Vegas on Halloween through November 2nd. And
Nice.
and I'm actually getting the chance to interview him for my channel, which is going to be really awesome. And so because of that, I talked about it on a video, and I actually pulled up all of my emails from where I actually used BitInstant in 2012. So I've been in Bitcoin. I was forced to get into Bitcoin because I was using a software, and that software, their main website had gotten shut down. It was basically an auto poster for Craigslist for a business I had where I posted ads on Craigslist. Nothing sketchy. It was tickets. But, it posted automatically, and that was against the Craigslist terms of service. And so because of that, Craigslist had his website shut down, and he was like, look, guys, I've got to take money for your monthly payment. I'll take it in this thing called Bitcoin. So I probably spent $10,000 over, probably about a year period buying Bitcoin and transferring it to this guy for new software and my monthly fee I had to pay to him and stuff like that. And I just wish instead of actually using the software, I just would have bought that Bitcoin and let it sit around. So I paid for all the software, and then, a couple months later, this probably would have been around November of 2013. I hadn't used it in a while, and I went and I looked at my wallet on Mt. Gox, and all of a sudden I had like $2,500 in there. It was almost $3,000, and I was like, holy crap. This was just like some extra money I had left in my account. It had ballooned up to that, and I was really stoked about it. And, what did I do? I said, man, I only had like maybe a couple $100 in there, and it turned into this. And so I went and I sold it all, So yep. The day I bought my first Bitcoin, they were right at $13. So it's kind of a story of, regret and wishing I had done things differently, wishing I had taken the time to understand the technology and what Bitcoin really was. And if I would have done that, then, I could be a millionaire or possibly even a billionaire at the prices that I got in at the time. But I use that as motivation to keep me going into crypto. And so last year, I really started getting interested in altcoins about the same time last year, and, started researching them, bought into some around October, and we all know what happened. And of course, I did end up getting wrecked eventually because I wasn't a hardened bear market investor like I am now. But so I started getting interested in it, and I had this idea to create this cartoon series called BitBoy and HODL. My friend Justin and I came up with that, and it's a superhero named BitBoy and his loyal turtle sidekick named HODL. And I still plan to create that animated series as soon as I can find an animator for the right price down the road. But that's what I started my channel as, and that's what really my first foray into the crypto community. And through that, eventually I started doing news videos. Now my channel's turned into something totally different. But the thing about crypto is once you fall in the rabbit hole, and people say this all the time, and it's so true. Once you fall in the rabbit hole, there's really no going back.
Absolutely.
If you can actually get excited in crypto and start, looking around at just all the exciting things going on, it becomes an obsession. And I was happy to announce on my channel last month that I actually am now full-time crypto and full-time, doing the YouTube videos, the crypto influencing, now with the podcast and things like that. So it's been a pretty exciting couple months for me ever since I started the channel. So, I guess that's my story. That's how I got into it. So.
Well, that's your story and you're sticking to it. Congratulations. That's, it's a good one, to hear that you've gone full-time crypto and able to escape the life that most of us live. That good for you, man.
Well, cool. Well, let's talk about you, JChains. How did you get into crypto? And kind of what are you doing right now in the crypto world?
Well, my entrance to the crypto world was not as early as you. I was in the stock world for a number of years, trading stocks, doing that. Not a particularly good stock trader, but did it nonetheless and had some fun with it. And then I'd say it was early or mid 2017, so before the huge pop, but before the the unfortunate events of the tail end of the year that we all know about, I had shifted over from the stock market over to the crypto world, and started getting into Ethereum is what I first got into. I have a buddy here in Austin where I live, and we'd be at the gym and play a game of basketball in the morning, whatever. And then one day he said, "Hey, let's play for a tenth of an Ethereum," and that sparked a whole conversation, and that's pretty much got me in, and I got hooked, right from the get go. So it's been an interesting world. Like you said earlier, everybody in the space is so cool and accepting, and it's been an interesting year and a half. But after the first few months of getting into crypto, I had actually met up with a token and did some contests for him, some design work and everything, and then ultimately got a spot kind of on the roster to do some full-time graphic work, or now I do a YouTube series. That's what I main focus on in crypto, is a daily YouTube series called Crypto Coffee for the exchange. And that is what keeps me going every day. It's been a whole new world.
Yeah, I've watched some of your videos, and it's exciting to see a lot of the projects that you've gotten to get knowledge of. And that really is a crypto influencer and someone in this space. The creating content is great, and it's good what we're putting out, but it's really just as valuable for us to get the information and to be able to learn about all these different projects and what they're doing. And so when you go to CoinMarketCap and you're looking them up, like, you actually know what they are. And then you look back, probably when you got started, it was, the symbols were probably like hieroglyphics to you.
Oh, absolutely. It was a big step, and and one of the things I get to do with the exchange is review the tokens that we're going to be adding on there. So it's really kind of a baptism by fire, if you will, of what goes on in this space. What are the new projects coming out? What in the world is going on in our world? So it's really cool. I'm really fortunate to be doing what I'm doing, and I love doing what I'm doing. So,
well, how can you not love crypto?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, everything in the space, like I said, is just all consuming. So, well, let me ask you this, JChains. When it comes to kind of what I was talking about earlier with the different communities and kind of the different walls around them, what communities would you say that you are actively involved in crypto?
My big communities are it's kind of twofold, right? So one for work for the exchange, heavily on Telegram. That's where I spend some of my day is on Telegram there. But for me personally, is Twitter. And then for the exchange as well, it would be YouTube. So those are pretty much the three spaces that I get into. I do some of the Discord stuff. It's a little much for me.
Discord's too much for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it. There's no way I could spend any time in the voice chat like that. That just, no, I couldn't do that. So, I mean, it's a cool platform, and, to each their own, but, that's not me. I'm not really a writer, so I don't do, a whole lot of, blogging or anything like that. I just do the videos on YouTube, personally on Twitter, and then, Telegram. So it keeps me busy. What about you? What are where's your circles?
Yeah, well, definitely Telegram. I've got my own Telegram chat, the Bit Squad Crypto Chat. So that's what my community for my YouTube channel is called, the Bit Squad. Big shout out to the Bit Squad. Love those guys. And gals, of course. But so I've got that going on, but then also, of course, Crypto Twitter. I'm big on there. Somebody asked me, they said, "Where is Crypto Twitter? How do you get there?" I said, you probably don't even want to know. But, basically Crypto Twitter is something we'll talk about a lot on this podcast. And all that it means is it's like a subsection of Twitter. And you can't get there. You just have to follow people that are in Crypto Twitter. Some of the bigger accounts, if it has to do with crypto, they're probably on Crypto Twitter, and then you just kind of get involved with the community there. There's other types of Twitter. There's sneaker Twitter is a thing I found out from listening to a Coin Boys episode. So big shout out.
A lot of pictures of kicks.
Yeah, exactly. So big shout out to the Coin Boys. That's a podcast that.
What's up?
Yeah, those are the dudes that I first started listening to. Love those guys. They're good friends of mine now. But so definitely involved there. And then, of course, Instagram. It's like, to me, Instagram is the unexplored terrain of cryptocurrency because there aren't a lot of accounts over there. I'm in a group with a lot of the bigger crypto accounts, but you take someone like BitLord, for instance, on crypto Twitter. He's one of the biggest accounts out there. He's got a lot of influence. I think he has 80,000 followers, somewhere around that number.
Something like that, yeah.
He just had this whole thing where he trolled everybody and said he sold his account. It was pretty hilarious. But that's like kind of some of the current event stuff in the community that we'll be talking about down the road. But if you go over and look at his Instagram, he's got like 800 or a very small amount. And we see that with a lot of the people from crypto Twitter is that they don't translate over to Instagram because they've got big followings. And then they go to another platform and it's harder to build. And it's just like, I think they think, well, I'll just, stick with what's working, But I think it's really important to kind of build an all-encompassing strategy with social media if you are an influencer and things like that. And Instagram, to me, I make memes on Instagram. That's what I do. Sometimes I put Insta stories that will be of me at a conference or something like that. But for the most part, I make memes. Instagram is like it's like a fun.
It's a fun.
Yeah, for me, it's a fun visual platform, and I get to kind of let loose and make some funny stuff. I made a video the other day that got like 4,000 views on it of Ariana Grande and Bill Clinton, which I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was really, really funny. So that's one place I am, and then of course YouTube. YouTube is something that obviously has really blown up for me. I mean, it's not huge. I feel like it is because my community makes makes the channel feel bigger than it is sometimes with just the love and support that they have for me, which is really good. But
nice.
Kind of like you were talking about with Discord, there is this danger of information overload or communication overload would be a better way to say it. So is that something you've experienced where you just kind of get overwhelmed with, all of the different channels and platforms and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. It's sometimes, you've got to be very careful. Like with Telegram, for me, it's like you got to be very careful which ones you've actually got your notifications on, because some of these channels are doing like thousands and thousands of messages, and it's like just draining a battery or whatever. It's like, yeah, just the information, and like we've got that addictive personality where I always want to know like what's everybody saying, like what's going on, like are we mooning, like what's happening, and then like. It's just a bunch of jibber jabber or whatever, but it's one thing that I always kind of think of. It's like and this is a little off topic, but society, right? As we progress, and a number of years ago before smartphones, the amount of information that it would take you, or the amount of time that it would take you to get the amount of information that you have at the tip of your fingertips is just so long that now, I mean, our brains going to explode at some point because we just can answer any question. We can figure out anything. You can do anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So people have told me I have a big head before, so maybe it's just waiting to bust out, So, but yeah, I think to me, that's a big problem that we have in the world, really, is that we have all of the information at our fingertips. And, it's this point where if you can't Google it, you'll never learn how to do it. Whereas it used to be, you could get information by talking to people or, by reading a book, researching old newspapers. But now it's like if you can't Google it, like I had some problems at my last job where I had some issues that were not Googleable. You couldn't figure out how to solve these issues with Google. And it was almost paralyzing, even for me. And luckily, I learned, to basically reach out to people who were trying to do the same thing I was trying to do. And by creating relationships, I could get the answers that I needed. But, I think we have a generation growing up today that, they would rather text or, I just have always said this. It's the more connected that we are, the more information that we get digitally, it's like the more we go backwards in communication and relationship skills. So,
yeah. Well, that's a fact. I mean, you can see that every day with with the younger generations. How you'll be at a restaurant and the kids are on their phones, just staring down at the face while the parents are having a good time.
Yeah.
Or whatever. What about Reddit? You you do anything on Reddit?
I've got some karma on Reddit. I got some karma. You know what I mean? So I've got about 5,500 karma points or whatever you want to call them. So, but that's just basically for me posting all my videos from YouTube over there. I used to get a lot of hate on Reddit, and cool story, which is I turn off replies on Reddit. So if I post a video there, I don't see the comments, and the reason is because Reddit and 4chan both are known for being pretty vicious communities, and they attack a lot of people, and people call them trolls.
Savages,
And yes, to some extent, like as an influencer, you have to grow tough skin. But then there's like another level to that, which is, out of sight, out of mind. Like if I don't have to read the comments, then I'm not going to do it. But I had somebody on Reddit the other day. I decided to be a little dangerous and go explore the comments on some of my posts, which I hadn't done.
Nice.
I hadn't done it in a long time. And I went and checked, and one guy, he commented on one of my videos, and he said, "You know what, BitBoy, I used to really hate you. I used to hate every video you posted on here, but you've really grown on me, and dang it, I like you now." And I was like, man, that was so cool, I really appreciated that comment that he took the time to say that. But that is the thing about Reddit and some of these social media channels is you do have to be careful. There are trolls. There's definitely trolls on crypto Twitter and things like that. And kind of tying back into crypto, which is I've always said for a long time, I think blockchain is going to be really bad for trolls because the more that these different decentralized social media platforms they're going to want you to verify who you are, like something like Steemit, where you have to have that private key. You can't create another one. You kind of have to be who you say you are on those social media platforms. And I think, hopefully eventually we're going to see the end of trolling and things like that because, when we talk about trolling, we're talking about, people saying hurtful stuff, on a social media platform. But there's a whole nother level to that, which are like child predators creating fake accounts and, there's definitely a lot more to trolling more than just people saying hurtful things. So that's one thing I'm hoping with blockchain technology and with these immutable ledgers that, we see these decentralized social media platforms that people will kind of have to be who they say they are and have to take responsibility. We're in the Wild West of social media still at this point. I mean, it's only been around for, about 10 years or so. So,
yeah, it is still pretty new, and I do hope I'm right there with you. I hope that scammers and trolls and all that, they find a way to just eradicate it and just get rid of it. I think, talking about communities, what do you think about? Would you consider a troll box on an exchange to be a community?
Oh, say that again.
Would you consider a troll box on an exchange to be a community? Like, for instance, everybody knows the savagery that goes on the hit BTC troll box.
Right, okay. I see. Like Cryptopia's got one as well.
Yeah.
I think that when you integrate social media with exchanges, I think it's dangerous. I don't like it at all. And the reason why is because that opens the door for pump and dumps. So, like crypto. So when I first got into altcoins and stuff, I joined a pump and dump group, actually. I didn't know it was illegal. I didn't know what, I just thought it was like a normal part of crypto because it was, starting during the bull run and people were talking about these pump and dump groups where they just, pump coins up and they were all over Instagram. They were all over Telegram. They were all over Twitter. And I was like, sure, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love to put some coins in here and, make some money or put money in and increase my coins or whatever. And so I went and joined this thing, and it's funny, they were always doing it on Cryptopia. And the reason is because Cryptopia has the chat option. And what the group would say is they'd say, okay, guys, listen, it's time. Everybody go in the chat and pump it up. And so everybody would go in the chat, and they'd be like, oh, have you bought Coal Coin? It's really awesome. I think that was one coal. And, it was so insane. And the price, sure enough, it went way up. But, of course, I didn't realize that was the only time I ever did it was that one time. And I didn't realize at that point that the only people that make the money in the pump and dumps are the people running the group because they're the one that dictate when you dump it. And they've already made their money and nobody else can sell on the way down with something like Cryptopia. But so to me, the chats on the exchanges, like I think they're a little bit dangerous because they're, and you talk about HitBTC, that's kind of another sketchy exchange. So, We don't see that with some of the bigger exchanges, I don't think.
No. But I feel right there with you. I think it's a bad thing. And same thing. I took part in one pump and dump, and same thing. Learned the lesson the hard way. I was not the facilitator of this P&D, so I did not buy my tokens well in advance, like I'm sure they do. Yeah. So I bought it at the top and got wrecked real quick. So learned the hard lesson one time.
Well, and that is another aspect to the whole community vibe that we're going to be talking about on this podcast, which is there is a part of the community that's very dangerous. There's a part of the community that's very sketchy and, that are predatory and want to take advantage of you. And so hopefully kind of shining some lights on some of those communities and giving some people some tips on how they can stay out of those situations, because based on your story and my story, like, we can definitely tell our audience the dangers of a pump and dump and why you don't want to get involved in any of those groups, and that basically those people are taking advantage of you. So that's definitely something, I hope to highlight here, as well as talking about some scammy airdrops and, a lot of different things that can help protect the community.
Absolutely, because like you said, it's the Wild West. Things are just being figured out. People are introduced to the whole world every single day. So there's a lot going on and a lot changing really fast. So it'll be good to highlight some of these things that need to be highlighted and hopefully help at least one person out, right?
Yeah, at least one person. Hopefully at least one person will listen to this podcast. If you're that person, we salute you. And if you're not,
we salute you.
If there's no one,
we still salute you.
If there's no one on the podcast, then maybe our second episode will draw one viewer. So, but anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today. We just wanted to go over basically what our podcast is going to be about. It's about community. It's about the culture of cryptocurrency. And we talked about a lot of the different things we're going to be highlighting. Down the road, we're going to have a lot of guests on. Probably first couple episodes will just be us, but later on we'll get some guests on. We'll do some interviews. Who knows, maybe talk to some big names in cryptocurrency, maybe get some projects on, to talk about their individual communities and things like that. So we're really excited about this podcast. I hope you guys are too. And we look forward to the next podcast we're going to do. Will be a topical one. We'll give you guys the topic, when we introduce that podcast. But JChains, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I'll just, BitBoy, I look forward to getting into some good conversations with you, people from the community, talking about the community, all the different communities and ways that we can improve our community. So I'm good for now, man.
Love it. All right, guys, we are two dudes with beards, and we like talking Bitcoin. So until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Catch you next time.